Councilmember Foster.
Here.
Gross. Here. Gill. Dodds.
Here.
Goodrich.
Okay, all council members are present except for Gill and Goodrich. We do have a quorum. Also, the city clerk, the mayor, assistant city administrator, and city attorney, and several city staff are in the audience. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Dodd, seconded by?
Second.
Seconded by?
Second.
Okay, okay, thank you. Foster. I was just thinking about how you're going to have to be heavily weighted on that side of the table for a lot of motions tonight. Discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Item 4 is citizen comments. I entertain anyone who would like to speak to us tonight about an item that's not already on the agenda. Please step forward. And introduce yourself and sign in, please.
Hey there, Aaron Shear, a citizen of Coralville. I just want to thank you all for your service and really in helping to make Coralville flourish. And one of the things I really want to advocate for is just making sure that Coralville ends up being a place where anyone has the opportunity to flourish. And I think that one opportunity for that is by expanding the development of affordable housing. And this is something that if for those of you who attended the Southeast planning meeting, basically this was one of the top items that popped up was affordable housing. And I appreciate, what the city's done already in terms of workforce development housing. But that hits that 80% of the median income threshold. And, for affordable housing, we tend to want to really focus on that 30% below the median income, So, for example, many of the employees of businesses in Coralville, we want to make sure that if you work in Coralville, that you can live in Coralville. Similarly, veterans, the elderly, we want to make sure that Coralville ends up being a place as we develop and grow and prosper that's kind of applicable to everybody. So I just encourage everyone to consider that and ways of pushing that forward. So
Great. Thanks, Aaron. And I think you can be assured that I don't think there's anybody up here that doesn't share your comments wholeheartedly. And we're constantly trying to looking at ways to hit that market of the housing. So we'll keep working on it. So thank you. Anyone else like to speak to us tonight? Okay. Moving on then, item 5 is the amendment to the Mall and Highway 6 Urban Renewal Plan. Public hearing. Item A is a consultation report.
Yes, we sent notice to the Johnson County Board of Supervisors in both the school districts, Clear Creek, Amana, and Iowa City, and I received no comments, and nobody did attend the meeting for the consultation.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. And I'll just mention that this amendment does not add any land to the plan. It just adds and clarifies different types of financing the city will include in the grant for our arena project. So item B is a public hearing. I'll open the public hearing. Are there any comments on this project? Any written?
No written.
Okay, seeing and hearing none, I will close the public hearing and consider the resolution.
Resolution approving amendment number 10 to the amended and restated urban renewal plan for the Mall and Highway 6 urban renewal area is introduced for adoption by Councilmember Foster, seconded by.
Second.
Second by Gross. Discussion. Roll call.
Gross. Aye. Dodds.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Resolution passes with Gill and Goodrich absent. Item 6 is High Country Road pavement repair. Also a public hearing on the plan specifications for this deteriorating section of High Country Road. I'll open the public hearing. Any comments?
No written.
No written. Okay. I will close it and consider the resolution.
Resolution approving the plan specifications, estimate of cost, and form of contract, ordering bids, setting a date for the receiving of said bids, and directing posting of the bid letting, all for the High Country Road repair. Resolution is introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Dodds. Discussion? Roll call.
Dodds.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross. Aye.
Resolution passes with Gill and Goodrich absent. Item 7 is Lot 63 Bridgewater Subdivision. Building Department and Planning and Zoning Report from our building official, Jim Kessler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to do a quick run through of the site plan for you. Then we have representatives from OPN Architects here that are going to do a flyover for you and
Oh, good.
out of the building to show you what development's really going to look like. And then there'll be a representative to kind of guide you through it as he's going. But first we have Bridgewater Part 4, Lot 63. And this is located just to the south of the Grand Living Development at the extension of Russell Slade Boulevard. So we have access off of Russell Slade Boulevard here. Come into this area, there's some parking here. Come around here, there's 3 buildings in this subdivision. So we have buildings 1, 2, building 3 here. These 2 buildings are actually connected. They're connected by a 2-level underground parking ramp as well as the stories above. So we have 2 levels of underground parking in each building with 4 levels of apartments above them. And the apartments consist of 1 and 2 bedroom units, 4 levels of apartments, a mix of 1 and 2 bedroom units for a total of 180 dwelling units. The ground area of buildings 1 and 2 has all sorts of amenities that I will let the representatives from OPN and from Jessica explain this to you, what all the amenities are they have here. Building number 3 also has 2 levels of underground parking with 4 levels of living units above it. It has the amenity of the pond or the retention basin that's there. That's a pond. They have access to the pond out of this building here. There's a trail system that runs through this area that will tie all through the Bridgewater subdivision. And also there's a dog park and there is a pocket park up here that in conjunction with the city will be available to the public as well as the residences there. So with that, I will let the OPN get together or get going and give you their presentation. And then if you have any questions either from me or OPN after they're finished, we can proceed.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good evening. I'm Mike Bales, and I'm one member of Venture One LLC, who's putting the project together. I'm here with Mike and Jake Evans. The other partner, Jesse's not here this evening. With us, we have OPN architects Justin Bishop, Susan Bowersox, and Hugh Sward. Hugh's going to be doing some impressive gameplay here for us to show us through this project. We really appreciate the opportunity to bring this to Coralville. We've worked hand in hand with the city staff and with the architecture and MMS to come up with what we think is a very unique product. Obviously, there's a lot of building going on. Question I get asked more than anything is, when's it going to end? And really, it's about coming up with different types, new products. We listen not only to the cities when they're asking us for different things, but from the constituents and the people who are going to live here. So this is going to be a rather unique development. And so, Hugh, if you just want to, I think this is an overview that just kind of shows it from the top with the pond, the dock, and the pond, and the 3 buildings. But Hugh, if you just want to start from the point at the beginning. The sign. At the sign. So this would be coming down Russell Slade Boulevard, and as you come down to the north would be Grand Living, the new assisted living facility, and then you would drive into our project, which we are calling The Point. You come down through the front here. Off to the left will be parking that's shared with a pocket park that we're still working on the design with in conjunction with the city. Obviously, these trees they're representing them 30 to 40 years from now. But we will be planting a significant amount of trees and landscaping. But as you come into the site, there are 3 different buildings, 2 levels of underground covered parking, and then 5 stories of residential units. And it's all tied together with the middle building. And when you come in, basically the whole concept was make it a communal space. It's pretty much like a giant hotel lobby for the residents. And so Hugh, if you just want to kind of step inside. So one thing you'll see right away is all the window and glass out to the back that's out overlooking the pond and the existing trees that are out there. One of the main things is this is such a unique site. There's no other property, not only in Coralville, Iowa City, anywhere in Johnson County, Lynn County that's similar to this, with the established vegetation, pond, and then just the location next to IRL and everything else. So stepping back for a second, when you first come in, one of the things we wanted to do is again, residents now, with a lot of social media and things like that, people think, oh, everyone just kind of retreats and they're not very social, but that's not the case. People are looking more and more for spaces, coffee shops, things like that, where they can get together, enjoy Wi-Fi, sit together, have conversations. So we've got a couple of dual fireplaces, just some, it's all completely wide open, but it gives some segmented areas where people, can get together. Off to the left, when you first come in, there'd be like a concierge desk. That won't be staffed continuously, but there will be an internal staff. But one idea too is proliferation of Amazon and different shipping vendors. You got to have a place for all that stuff. So we're going to have a dedicated area with the mailboxes where packages can be shipped and the residents can know that they're secured. Why don't you head over to the cafeteria area there. So this is where we're still a little in play as to exactly what we're working on, but we're looking at some different options, including self-vending and things. We really want to make this a community unto itself. When people come back home, it's not that they just go to their apartment or condo, they actually have something to do. And we'll get to a few things around back, but we're going to have a kitchen space. And we're still working on some of the amenities here. But the other thing that this does is with people in 1 or 2 bedroom, they have visitors, they have guests, they have family. They'll have the ability to hold functions here or just get together. Down here, right at the end of this, at the end of the wall there to the left, we're still working on a partition, because we want to have something that's dedicated that if people want to have a dedicated, hey, from 7 to 10, I want this space for X, for a graduation party, for my family coming over. So these are some of the different things that you don't see in any of the other properties around here. A really great feature that OPN was able to incorporate was this big outside patio. And again, you just get a sense of the dramatic, and while this is kind of puffed up a little bit, it's not too far off. I mean, a lot of the green over there, I mean, that already exists. We're just taking the natural landscape and basically molding the property into the existing land. I'll try not to make this too lengthy, but if you have any questions as I go along, we just wanted to show you a couple of things. Like I said, the city staff's been great in helping us go through and really prioritizing, what we need with the site. So we'll just show you a couple more quick things. We'll zip around the back, and then if you have any questions, we can conclude. If you want to go down and show them the game room and the workout facility. So we're looking at having a pool table, shuffleboard, potentially ping pong. We'll have to see exactly once the building's done how that all fits. But the idea, again, is to just have some, activities. And then on-site workout facility, we will have equipment. We'll have some free weights, and then, treadmills and a few other items. And then we also have an area that could be partitioned off for private classes. And then also an outside yoga area, which I've heard is popular. So that's kind of some of the, the main amenities that's just going to be as a function of the people that live here. They'll have access to all of this, and they can use whatever they want, as much or as little. So Hugh, if we could zip around the back and kind of bring them in on the path, is that possible?
Yeah, from the main road or from?
No, from the third building.
Okay.
Try not to make everybody dizzy, including myself. So as we said, this is a private property, but one of the things we're wanting to do is connect this to the greater Bridgewater subdivision, and then also with the pocket park being up there, just make it so that people besides just the residents can enjoy. As you come in here, so go to the left there, Hugh, on that path. We're going to include a trail that connects up over to the cul-de-sac that's going to have the zero lot line properties and condominiums over there. So that basically we'll have a continuous loop around the pond and throughout the whole subdivision. So if people, like to bike, if they want to walk, it'll give opportunities for, the residents of Grand Living to get out and use some of these amenities. And then back down behind the main building, we're going to use the landscape and the natural sloping, kind of carve out some different gathering areas. And again, some of that, while we have it in the plan, we may even go more, just depending on how things sit. But it's going to give us some opportunity for outdoor patios, tables. We're going to do some retaining walls to create some little alcoves that, again, kind of like inside, give you some areas outside to do some of the social activities. And again, that's what's so unique about this property, is none of the other buildings have that. Nobody else around. And then one of my favorite features is the dock that we'll have. And the people here are really excited because they just moved in. So basically, again, just something different, something above and beyond, and we really appreciate the opportunity to share it with you all and with Coralville at large. And with that, if you have any questions or want to see anything else, I'd be happy to answer anything.
You have the building material board there?
Oh, yep. Susan, do you want to talk about that? You'd be better.
So these are the materials here. These are the primary materials that you're seeing on the outside of the building. The dark material is a brick to look with a sheen like this. And then around the units, we have a wood finish as well as a white finish. These are the same material. They're a fiber reinforced cement panel. So low maintenance, longevity. But that's what you're seeing on the balconies and also around the windows of the residential units. And then on the level 1 in the center building where the amenities are, there's some metal panels intermixed with the glass. But it's a real simple, basic palette that's applied to all 3 buildings with these materials.
You finished, Mike?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Okay, so Jim, did you give the planning and zoning report?
Planning and zoning voted 4-2 to approve this.
Okay.
There's 2 members concerned about the increase in housing density from 160 to 180.
Okay.
Other than that, everybody, and that was the only issue.
Okay,
The materials of building and the site and everything were very acceptable to all of them.
okay. If it's agreeable to the council, I think I'll go ahead and open the public hearing, and we'll have that, and then we'll open it up for our own discussion amongst ourselves at that point. So at this point, I'd like to open the public hearing on this PUD-B site plan as described. Are there any comments from the audience? Any written?
No written.
Okay, seeing and hearing none on the public hearing, I will close it and consider the resolution.
Resolution approving the PUD-B site plan for Lot 63 Bridgewater Subdivision, Part 4, Coralville, Iowa, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Dodd, seconded by.
Second.
Second by Foster. Now discussion. Any questions anybody has?
Connecting the two buildings, Mike, was that just like a walkway?
Yep, I kind of skipped right over that. I knew I'd forget something.
That's okay.
So basically, because of how the parking situation is going to work, the first two buildings are actually connected at the parking level. But then on the first level, that's enclosed. I mean, so what you're seeing there, if you want to zoom in just a little bit, Hugh. So basically, that's all windows, essentially, and that's a corridor hallway. And so everybody in all three buildings has access, all throughout the year to the main building without having to go outside. You just have to go down to the first level.
And where's the dog park going to be located?
So the dog park is going to be kind of, you see where right there.
Okay.
Basically, there's a big grass space there away from the other buildings. And so we located it there so it wasn't right next to anything.
Now, is that open to anyone or?
Well, that's kind of, we got to check with our insurer on that.
Okay.
That'll definitely be for the residents. It's a possibility, but that's one thing we
Sure.
have not got into the full discussion on that.
So you will allow dogs, obviously, in the facility?
Yeah, the whole property will be pet friendly.
Good.
There'll be
Are these owner?
Are they all
occupied or
rentals? Yeah.
as currently contemplated, there'll be rental units.
Rental units, okay.
We have that many pet-friendly rentals. So it's-
That's correct. And there's not many buildings that are suited for that, like this one is. And so that's one of the unique things above and beyond everything else I described. Again, people say, wind's too much, but there's different segments that are still being not served. And so this is one way to help.
And do you foresee building all three simultaneously, or?
We do not. What the plan is to build the first two foundations because those come together, and then going up with the first middle building because that has all the amenities, and then provided we see the success that we believe we'll have, there'll be a triggering point where we go up with what's essentially the north building,
Mm-hmm.
and then once that one's complete, the following year we'll go up with the third building.
Okay.
You had said at the beginning something about a pocket park or something. Is that looking towards something for kids or?
Well,
Is that
actually, the
closer towards the
city is proposing a plan in conjunction with if you want to.
Yeah, that's part of what we looked at as part of the planning, along with Russell Slade Boulevard, and we had the charrette for the public, and people could provide input. So that's something that is a little bit in the future yet, but it would be, I guess, to the east of this development. Is that right, Mike? East?
It'd be on the property to the east of these buildings.
And there would be some shared parking, which is a real advantage for both parties.
I thought that was important for the public to know.
And that would be public, yes.
And then the change in density, it was already a high-density development, correct?
No, it's not a high density.
It's not, oh, it's still
It's actually a
medium.
low density.
Low density, okay. So so adding 20 additional units is not enough to change?
It's not enough to
That-
affect the traffic and anything like that.
Okay.
And actually, the density was actually changed back in April when we did a site plan amendment for this.
Okay.
The density was on that plan and discussed at that plan and okayed at that plan by the council, so.
Okay.
I think it's great, Mike.
Thank you.
And I know this isn't probably a question under your control, but could that pond be used for ice skating in the winter?
No.
No.
The answer is no? Okay.
Springs.
Oh, okay.
No.
Springs, okay.
Yeah. The springs never, we never have very much ice over them.
Okay.
However, we have some other ideas about future projects that we might be able to bring something back.
A little kayaking maybe, or?
Always looking for things to do in the winter as well as the amenities
Absolutely.
during the summer months and things.
Yep.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the council? Okay, roll call then.
Did we do the resolution yet?
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Well, then I'm
Yeah.
not paying attention. Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross. Dodds.
Aye.
Resolution passes all ayes with Gill absent, and welcome to Goodrich.
I'd like to thank Mike Evans and Jake Evans and Mike Bales and all of their team. They have really worked hard to make this something new and unique in Coralville, and I think that it's going to be special. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Thank you. Very good. Okay, moving on to item 8, which is the Lot 2 Jacobs Clear Creek 6 Subdivision, Building Department and P&Z report, please.
Okay, Jacobs Clear Creek 6 subdivision is actually to the west of Popeye's development as part of the Jacobs. Popeye's is on lot number 1. Lot number 2 that is there now, actually there's a 3-unit commercial building going up in this area right now, and they want to add another 3-unit commercial building to this site. So in order to get 2 buildings on lot number 2, then we have to go from the regular C2 zoning to a CPUD zoning. So that's the reason for the rezoning on this property. So the site plan we'd be looking at is, actually this is already the existing Popeyes. This is the existing building they're building now that I spoke about. And the 3rd building that they want to build will go down in this area here. We already have shared access all through this site. It comes in off Coral Ridge Avenue, comes up through the site like this, and back down around, and will tie into Acorn Avenue, which is a street in another Jacob subdivision off to the west. And then, of course, Popeyes can come up and come around this way. So we have shared access all through the site. We also will have shared parking all through the site, because these 2 buildings will have to share parking. Popeyes has plenty of parking of their own, and they actually have some parking, some spare parking there. But the problem with it is we're limited to the area, and so we're limited to the site, or the parking availability on this site because of the 3rd building. So when they start renting these buildings, we're going to have to be very cautious that when they rent these buildings, they rent to businesses that can exist on what parking we can afford them. Like if they try to put all restaurants on this site, it's not going to work because they don't have enough parking for that. So it has to be a combination of a restaurant use and then regular commercial use, whether it be office or retail or something like that. Because it isn't actually figured to the highest in density parking use that it could be, so we're going to have to be very careful of that.
And the owner / developer is aware of that.
They are aware of that, and we'll have to put that, I have a bug flying around here. They'll have to put that in their, we'll put that in their agreement with us. I can show you a picture of the buildings here, I believe. So this is a proposed building they're going to put on there. It's much like the building that's going up now. It's the same building materials. It's a brick front with cement board siding. It kind of looks like it could be into 3 units, and I'm sure it could be. They're actually just building this as a proposed 1-unit building, but it would be very easily divided up into 3 units if they wanted to divide it up that way. There's some more views of the building. As I say, it's much like the architecture of the other building. So the main issues we have here that we've worked with them out is the parking issue, and of course the access issue on this, to get the 3rd building on that actual site. So this also was on P&Z at the last meeting, and this was recommended for approval by a 6-0 vote.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Item C is a public hearing on this rezoning. I'd like to open the public hearing. Are there any comments? Any written?
No written.
Okay, seeing and hearing none, I'll close the public hearing and consider the first consideration of the ordinance.
Ordinance number 2018-1014, an ordinance amending the Coralville zoning ordinance, the same being ordinance number 664, as previously amended, rezoning certain property located within the corporate limits of the city of Coralville Johnson County, Iowa, and generally known as Lot 2, Jacobs Clear Creek 6th Subdivision from C2 Arterial Commercial District to CPUD 2 Commercial Planned Unit Development 2 District. It's introduced for adoption, first consideration by Councilmember Goodrich, seconded by.
Second. Second by Dodds, or excuse me, Gross. Any discussion? Roll call.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross. Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Okay, ordinance passes its first consideration, all ayes with Gill absent. Item 9, Integrated DNA Technologies Edition. We'll start with the Building Department and P&Z report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is actually an amended site plan for the IDNA subdivision. As you can recall, previously we have rezoned this from a I district to an IPUD district, so they could have, they could make plans for future development of their site. So by doing that, we changed this lot from C2 back to industrial use, and at that time they just showed us a site plan of the whole area, showing their building and what have you. But now they decided what their first step wants to be, so they're coming back and amending that site plan to add in this parking lot here, because they are growing, and of course as they're growing, their employment rate is increasing, and they're really parked up to the max right now, so they actually need more parking out there. So this site plan actually, amended site plan actually includes this parking lot they want to build. This is just some green waterway area here, and there is a bioswale down here to take care of the runoff and what have you from this parking lot. In this, they're also including the area where they want to add onto their tank farm right behind the building, and another control building for these tanks that they have here. So that, they're also showing us that as a part of the site plan. This is just kind of a blown up view of it. This is a new control building they're going to put in there, and they're adding 3 tanks to the existing 3 tanks that they already have for the chemicals that they use there. That's another reason that we had to rezone this, is because in the regular district they were in, then they were getting above the amount of above ground tank storage that they could have. So I think that's about all I have to show you on this. I don't have, that's it. I don't have the building elevation. Well, yes, I do too. This isn't actually a building elevation, but what this is showing is where the tanks are actually located. They have a structure above them, so they're protected from the weather. The whole area of the tanks in that control area is fenced off, and it's a controlled access point because they don't want people in these tanks around these chemicals. So this is kind of what it's going to look like after they add on their tank addition to the back of the building. So this was presented to P&Z the other night at the meeting, and also recommended for approval by a 6-0 vote.
Okay, thank you, Jim. I will open a public hearing on the amended PUDB site plan for this project. Are there any comments? Any written?
No written.
Okay, I will close the public hearing and consider the resolution.
Resolution approving the amended PUDB site plan for Integrated DNA Technologies Additions, Coralville, Iowa, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Foster, seconded by.
Second.
Ooh, now that was close. I'll give it to Goodrich. Any discussion? It's great business. Great to have them in Coralville is all I have to say. Roll call.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Resolution passed all ayes with Gill absent. Item 10 is the Mondanaro Reunion Brew House. This is a project to add a 10,000 square foot brewery on the rear of the Reunion Brew lot and reconfiguring the parking lot. Again, the Building Department and P&Z report, please.
Thank you. Excuse me. What you're seeing here is the site plan as it appears today. This is the restaurant that appears today, the Reunion Brew House. And this also is being rezoned from an I district, which we have some I district in that area, some old I district in that area, although we don't have any I uses there anymore. So what we're doing now is rezoning this to a C district, a CPUD to be exact, because we're going to add a building to this lot. This is the way it is parked now. It's all parking for the restaurant. So what the plan is to build a new brewery back here. It's a 10,000 square foot brew house, and add it on to what they got. They're reconfiguring their parking. It did run east and west, now it runs north and south. They actually are losing some parking, but we're way over the parking for the required restaurant that they had. So they're able to get 78 parking spaces on this lot, and the restaurant, only actually requires 54. As you know, there is a brew pub part of this right now. They intend to use the same brewmasters in this one to do the new building as they use in here, so they're not putting on any employees, so that's not gonna drive any more parking either. They're not increasing the size of their restaurant, so that's not increasing the parking or driving a need for more parking. So they're still overparked or over parking on their stalls, so they're still fine shape there. They plan to do all this landscaping around here that will actually screen this from the back and screen it from the neighbor. Over here is the used car lot. This is what the inside of the brewery is going to look like. I don't know anything about brewing, so I can't explain this to you very thoroughly, but this is it. This is what the building is going to look like. The only difference you're going to see here is this sign was way over the allotted sign that they could have on their by our sign ordinance, so this has actually been reduced. I don't have a copy of the reduction of it. But this has been reduced so that it actually does fit the wall and meet the sign ordinance. So this is the building elevation to the north, or what will face Highway 6 or 2nd Street. The building elevation to the west. This is all a dark wooden material. The yellow that you see here is a yellow metal accent panel. Other than that, it's all the same manufactured wood panel on here. These windows are actually a yellow tone, but they are a glass that you can't see through, but they will let in light to the brewery. If you're familiar with the new warehouse that was built out on Highway 6, the university warehouse out there, it has the same type of glass in it to let in the light. It's just not yellow. This is more view. This is a view to the east, or this is a view to the used car lot. And this, of course, is a view to the south, or actually facing Clear Creek in that area there. So this also was on P&Z the other night and recommended by the P&Z Commission 6-0 for approval.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Item C is a public hearing on this rezoning. Are there any comments? No written. Okay. I will close the public hearing and consider the first consideration of the ordinance.
Ordinance number 2018-1015, an ordinance amending the Coralville zoning ordinance, the same being ordinance number 664 as previously amended, rezoning certain property located within the corporate limits of the city of Coralville, Johnson County, Iowa, and generally known as Mondanaro Reunion Brew House, Coralville, from I-2 Light Industrial District to CPUD2 Commercial Plan Unit Development 2 District, introduced for adoption, first consideration by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Dodds. Discussion? Jim, my only question is, the product that's produced here, does it primarily leave in kegs versus cans or bottles?
I believe it leaves in both.
Okay. And the reason I ask that is, I assume the staff has gone over this in terms of any conflicts with commercial trucks, either delivering products for the manufacturer or sales of products.
Yeah, we do have, as you can see here, they have done a turning template for trucks in and out of this. They can come in this way. As you know, you can come in the restaurant now and go around the restaurant and back out this way. So they've done the turning templates for the delivery trucks and for the fire accessibility as well. They are going to sprinkle this building. This building will be entirely sprinkled, so as is the restaurant at this point. So I don't think there'll be any conflicts with it at all. And most of that probably will be done, planned to be done anyhow at the low occupancy loaded at restaurants, so there's not a conflict there. One thing I did not mention to you was that, like we have down at Back Pocket Brewery, there will be a silo right here for some of the brewing materials, but that will be screened from view also, as well as the dumpster location will all be screened as well. So.
Very good. Any other comments? Roll call.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross. Dodds.
Aye.
Ordinance passes its first consideration, all ayes, with Gill absent. Item 11 is Woodland Trails, also first consideration of an ordinance. And we'll do the Building Department and P&Z report.
Woodland Trails is out on Oakdale Road. This is a rezoning from R1 to an RPUD. It's R1 development now. We're rezoning it to an RPUD because they want to put multiple buildings on this lot. The best way to describe the location is as you come around Oakdale Road, excuse me, right here is the Land Park Care Center, the new Land Park Care Center, or the Land Park Care Center that exists today. It's not new anymore, I guess. Unitarian Church built up in this area here, so it's kind of between those two areas. This was just a parcel that's been sitting there, except for a garage on it, empty for quite some time. And so the Watts Development bought this parcel from the owner, and their plan is to, provided their rezoning goes through, is to build 2 3-plex units on it. Basically the same ones they're building on Oakdale Boulevard now in the Grantview area and that they built before. So what the plan is, the reason we're going to the RPUD, as I said, is because there's multiple buildings on it, 2 3-unit apartment buildings, and they will access Oakdale Road. The reason they're on this portion of the lot, not this portion of the lot, is this is kind of the tree line of the lot, and this lot falls off very rapidly and it's very deep back in there. So they're basically utilizing most of the building area that the lot has available to them to put these 6 units of building units on. And this is just showing some of the landscaping they're going to have on the property. They're going to add some trees, but this, like I say, this is all a tree ravine back in here now, so there's a lot of trees there. They're going to put some evergreens or that type of tree along here to kind of buffer them from the neighboring property that's here. So that's pretty much what I have to show you on this one. And this also is on P&Z and recommended 6-0 for approval as well.
Thank you, Jim. I'll open the public hearing on this rezoning. Are there any comments? No written. I'll close the public hearing and consider the resolution for the preliminary plat.
Resolution approving the preliminary plat for Woodland Trails, Coralville, Iowa, is introduced by Councilmember Foster, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. Discussion?
Well, the neighborhood of Abbey Court is nearby, and they had a get-together on Friday night, and everyone got to see the plans, and it was stated that this will be a very nice addition to our neighborhood. So everybody's for it. Thank you.
Thanks for the report. Any other?
There's a trail, right? This
There's
is
a trail.
near my neighborhood as well.
There's
Yeah.
a trail that comes back,
Yeah.
follows
and-
that sewer line, that deep trunk sewer that goes back through
Okay.
there.
Okay. So that so none of the trees that are along the trail, those will still remain just because it is too deep, probably,
Yeah,
that
they're
ravine.
not going to get anywhere near the trail with their
Okay.
development.
Anything else? Roll call.
Gross. Aye. Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Resolution for the preliminary plat has approved, all ayes, with Gill absent. Item E is the resolution on the final plat of this project.
Resolution approving the final plat for Woodland Trails, Coralville, Iowa, is introduced by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Foster. Discussion? Roll call.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross. Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes, with Gill absent. And lastly, for the same project, it's the first consideration of a zoning, of an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance.
Ordinance number 2018-1016, an ordinance amending the Coralville zoning ordinance, the same being ordinance number 664, as previously amended, rezoning certain property located within the corporate limits of the city of Coralville, Johnson County, Iowa, and generally known as Woodland Trails from R1 Single Family Residential District to RPUD 2 Residential Planned Unit Development 2 District, is introduced for adoption, first consideration by Councilmember Dodds, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gross. Discussion? Roll call.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross. Aye. Dodds.
Aye.
Ordinance passes its first consideration. All ayes, Gill absent. Item 12 is lots 1 through 4, Iowa River Landing, Part 9. This is a second consideration of an ordinance amending the Coralville zoning ordinance for construction for the Iowa Arena and Performance Center.
Ordinance number 2018-1013, an ordinance amending the Coralville zoning ordinance, the same being ordinance number 664, as previously amended, rezoning certain property located within the corporate limits of the city of Coralville, Johnson County, Iowa, and generally known as lots 1 through 4, Iowa River Landing, Part 9, from C2 Arterial Commercial District to CPUD 2 Commercial Plan Unit Development 2 District, is introduced for adoption, second consideration by Councilmember Goodrich, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Dodds. Discussion. Roll call.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross. Aye. Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Ordinance passes its second consideration, all ayes, with Gill absent. Item 13 is the second consideration of an ordinance for the speed zone amendment on the near Norman Borlaug's Elementary School on Kennedy Parkway near the intersection of Camp Cardinal Boulevard, south of Kennedy Parkway intersection on Camp Cardinal Boulevard.
Ordinance number 2018-1012, an ordinance amending Chapter 63 of the Coralville Code of Ordinances 2011 as previously amended regarding the speed limit on Camp Cardinal Boulevard, is introduced for adoption on second consideration by Councilmember Foster, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Gross. Discussion? Roll call.
Gross. Aye. Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Ordinance passes its second consideration, all ayes, with Gill absent. Item 14 is rental housing. This is amending our ordinance regarding the requirement to have both carbon monoxide and smoke detectors in our rental units.
Ordinance number 2018-1017, an ordinance amending Chapter 145 of the Code of Ordinances regarding the requirements for smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors in rental housing units, is introduced for adoption. First consideration by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Foster. Discussion?
When will this go into effect? It'll be in effect as soon as we get it passed. As I put in your packet, there was a building code had some changes, and then the state had to change it when in effect July 1st. So we're trying to catch up to that. But basically, Dawn is already the new rental units. She's since it's in the state code, we are enforcing that right now.
Okay. Any other? Roll call.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross. Aye.
Ordinance passes its first consideration, all ayes, with Gill absent. Item 15 is Iowa River Landing Retail License Agreement. This is a resolution approving a one-year lease with the Foundry for space at 920 East 2nd Avenue, Suite 108.
Resolution approving a license agreement with the Foundry is introduced for adoption by Councilmember Dodds, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. Discussion. Roll call.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross. Aye. Dodds.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes, with Gill absent. Item 16 is Coral Ridge Avenue Phase 1 wall repairs. And City Engineer Dan Holderness is going to speak to us a little bit about that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you may recall, this project is on Phase 1 of the Coral Ridge Avenue improvements between Holiday and Oakdale on the west side of the large wall. This project was completed a couple of years ago. After that project was completed, it was noticed that this major wall was leaning away from the road more than is tolerable. So after it was investigated, it was determined that there was some combination of either design error or installation error of the wall. And so Howard R. Green Company has stepped up and they're going to repair that wall at their expense, no cost to the city to fix that. They did ask the city to bid this project though because they're not able to bid projects as a private company. So we have agreed to do that, again with them picking up all the expenses. This wall repair was bid once before and the quote come back in 3 times what the estimate was, and so they declined to accept that. So they've redesigned the wall now and talked to some contractors and hope to have a more economical but yet viable fix to the wall. So what this will do is we'll set a public hearing for August 14th for that project. Bids will be received at 11 a.m. on the 14th and then reported that night, and presumably we get better bids. We would take action that night to move that project forward. It would be completed this calendar year yet before the Coral Ridge Phase 2 project is open, so there's no additional disruption to traffic in that area. And so hope to get better bids. And again, this will be at no cost to the city.
Okay. Thank you, Dan. Resolution?
Resolution setting a public hearing on the plan specifications, estimate of cost, and form of contract for the Coral Ridge Avenue Improvements Phase 1 Wall 4 repairs, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Goodrich, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Dodds. Discussion? Roll call.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Resolution passes all ayes with Gill absent. Item 17 is the CRANDIC Flood Protection Project Mussel Monitoring. This is a resolution that sets up an agreement that provides for the 2018 Mussel monitoring event and report to the satisfactory of the city's U.S. Army Corps of Engineers permit requirements for this flood protection project.
Resolution approving a consulting services agreement with Econolis, Inc. for a 2018 Mussel monitoring report for the CRANDIC Flood Protection Project, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Foster, seconded by.
Second.
Second by Gross. Discussion? Roll call.
Gross.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Resolution is approved all ayes with Gill absent. Item 18, the I-80 First Avenue intersection design. This is to complete the design of this interchange to the preliminary plan stage with the 50-50 cost share with the Iowa DOT.
Resolution approving amendment number 1 to the professional services agreement with HR Green, Inc. for the Interstate 80 First Avenue interchange improvements, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Foster. Discussion? Roll call.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross. Aye.
Resolution is approved all ayes with Gill absent. 19 is bonds. This is a resolution for the finalization of arrangements to sell loans for the construction and opening of the arena project. Sorry. Don?
Resolution providing for the sale of bonds and setting parameters for the sale of bonds and approving the purchase agreement and an official statement is introduced for adoption by Councilmember Dodd, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. Discussion?
Yeah. Well, I have a couple questions on this. So, and of course, my iPad is going blank as we're. But so the payout schedule in the packet, have we gone through that?
Tony, do you want to? Our finance director,
Yeah.
Tony.
I was also going to say that on the next meeting, the Arena Co. development agreement with the city, which talks about how the money flows through to that, will be on that next meeting. In fact, Tony and I are going to Des Moines tomorrow to start finalize that.
I guess I'm just a little confused at this point, but
So are you referring to the sources and uses in the packet or the project pro forma, perhaps?
yeah. So I'm trying to figure out when we've talked about funding and operating this, then we got to the point where ArenaCo could do so much, right? At that point, and then we're past that. So the money that's being bonded, how did that number come to be? Did we discuss that number, and then have we discussed how that's being paid back?
So internally, at the city, we have discussed that. The identified revenue sources that would pay back the financing, whether issued by ArenaCo or the city directly, are all the same revenue sources as they've been in the past. Whether it's the state grant money or the private contributions, or sales tax revenues, or TIF. And so they're all the same revenues. Some of the loans will be issued by Arenaco and guaranteed by the city, as we've discussed in the past. This amount for this bond issue would be repaid by those same revenue sources, and the amount was determined essentially by process of elimination. In other words, the loans that could be placed through Arenaco, with them as the issuer, have been placed. And what is left over is some bonds that would be paid by TIF and by the net operating income of the Field House, North Retail, and the portion of the Staybridge Suites Hotel building that would be rented out by the city.
So when you say internal conversations, is that staff or is that council staff? Because obviously I'm cognizant of the discussion we had when Tim was here and Josh, and we went through all that information. But I feel like, at least I'm just speaking for me, there's a disconnect between that conversation and this. So did something change from that to this, or is it my disconnect?
Well, I think what I would say changed between then and now is that we reached our capacity through Arenaco as a
and we had discussed what if we reach a capacity back at that previous meeting.
I don't recall discussing that
okay.
then, so I don't think so. And I'm not aware of what discussions staff may have had with individual council members, if any. But we have had discussions between the Piper Jaffrey folks, the Dorsey and Whitney folks, bond council, and city staff.
I'm not aware that anything has significantly changed, Mitch.
Okay.
I think what's in my, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what's becoming more clear is we're finally kind of sorting out what money is coming from what source, what payback money is coming from what sources. And it's being now divvied out appropriately. But I haven't heard any change in the overall philosophy of burden on the city or expense of the project, or any red flags that we're suddenly not doing what we said we were going to do.
Okay.
That's what the urban renewal amendment was. It was basically, we had the first amendment that had the stuff in here, and when it got changed differently, the numbers that's why it got that urban renewal plan got changed the way it did, because the way the financing was structured was different than back when I did that 6 months ago, I believe.
I think there's some issues like the new market tax credits has very specific requirements, and sales tax reimbursement program from the state. And I think we're just getting to the point where it's all being sorted out finally of what goes in what direction. That's my take on it.
And we, until we do the Arenaco agreement also, which goes into the details about where who gets the funds when they come in and how it gets.
Why are we doing that before? Shouldn't we do that first?
Well, that's a question I would have too.
This won't be. We are not going to issue the bonds before the Arenaco agreement's done.
Well, we have a vote. So is this vote tonight saying for you to be looking for bonds, or that we're purchasing?
We have not purchased them at all, and we haven't. That won't happen until after the Arenaco agreement.
That is correct. The issuance proceedings would be another vote.
Okay. In fact, our hope is to bring back the Staybridge Suites agreement and the Arenaco agreement at the next meeting to finalize all these agreements all at once.
And Mr. Mayor, I'm not saying there's a red flag. I'm just trying to figure out. To me, I'm just not following where we were. I think that was in May.
Was it February?
When Tim came?
Was it that long ago?
When Tim
and Josh were here.
Yes, I think that was back in February.
So
when that was the first Arenaco agreement, or not agreement, but conversation that we had, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we had kind of hashed out some of those details.
Yeah, so I guess, yeah, so if it's even February, then now we're in July, I'm just making sure, at least for me, just before I vote, I'm clear 100% on what I'm voting on.
Yeah, and the ArenaCo agreement also will be tied to all these financings with the banks. The banks are issuing financing, guarantee, that'll all be, that's why it's kind of the final piece, because they are all, like I said, we're going to meet with the bankers who are doing the financing for the ArenaCo tomorrow too. So we're working on getting that finalized for the next meeting also.
Yeah, so then before we vote on, the actual purchase of bonds, the way it was in the packet about the payback, I mean, I'd like to have, a meeting where we fine tooth and walk through that just to make sure.
I might feel a little bit more comfortable if we just had another walkthrough. And it doesn't, so tonight we're just voting on giving you permission to kind of investigate.
And proceed with an offering document, that was that long, dry document
Jeffrey,
that could be shown to investors, and sort of a pre-marketing.
Okay.
Gives them freedom at Piper Jaffray to talk to potential investors. It does not obligate the city.
Okay.
Okay.
These are steps.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I was just trying to figure out
just
what step
steps.
it was, yeah. If we were, yeah.
I think we're just a little, maybe it's that there was a number attached to it.
This time, yeah.
Because we kind of talked about, with our state grant, that clearly they weren't just going to write us a check before it was done.
Right.
That we had to bond for that and it would get paid back. But, to look at it as a maturity schedule looks a little different when you don't know exactly what that is, so.
Yeah, well, and that's why I
think
apologize for being late. I was talking with city staff before the meeting, just because I was obviously gone for the last meeting on vacation, so I want to make sure that hadn't been discussed
No,
the
we
last
hadn't
time.
talked about that, but
Okay.
maybe a little clarification on where that particular grant is gonna be, back to us to pay off versus, the other, are we gonna get a lot, I know we kind of broke down like the naming rights into 10-year segments and things like that, so there's a lot of moving parts, but it's a lot to keep track of. If we could have it kind of put a renewal, a review, that would be great.
And I like the step analogy, Laura. I just want to make sure, if someone on the street asks me what this is about, I can explain it to them in good conscience, that, especially if I vote for it. And
I
just
think, yeah.
was a little fuzzy.
We'll make sure that we get something back to you in plenty of time. We have 3 weeks between the next meeting too.
I appreciate that. Thank
We'll
you.
make sure we get it.
Well, and
to
I think we're very concerned that we didn't want to add any more to the city debt and things like this, so we did work so hard to get all these different resources coming in to pay for this. It's just, how is that going to look? So.
And I definitely think it would be beneficial too, just, that we can look it over and just be walked through it, when we are advocating on behalf of the arena and when we are talking about this, that we are all on the same page and have a lot of clarity.
I agree. So we will get that to you. Like Tony said, I don't believe that the payback revenues have changed. It's just the way it's getting financed up front. And like you said, everything, we're not getting a check for $12 million, and we're not, the TIF money for those new projects doesn't come in right away. So I think we can clarify, where we think the numbers are coming from, those to pay back each one of those. We'll make sure we get something to you in plenty of time before the next meeting.
And maybe if that information, to the extent possible, be in the form of like a diagram too, rather than a very heavy narrative, kind of show the different buckets and.
Yeah.
And to that end, or maybe one piece of the puzzle, as dry as it is, that official statement in the packet on the page numbered 6 and 7, not of the packet, but of that document, there's a arena project sources and uses, and there's a project pro forma. I'm not telling you that to go look at that and that will answer all your questions, but maybe as a precursor to walking through it, a quick review of that might help too.
Good. Any other discussion? Very good. Roll call.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Hi.
Gross.
Hi.
Resolution is approved, all ayes with Gill absent. Item 20 is the Fifth Street Social. This is a resolution allowing the usage of public right-of-way and for an open container for what's become our annual Fifth Street dance, street dance. which will be coming up on the weekend of August, on Saturday, August 11th, I believe. Don?
Resolution authorizing use of the public right-of-way for 2018 Fifth Street Social, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Gross, seconded by.
Second.
Second by Dodds. Discussion. Roll call.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes with Gill absent. Item 21 is a Plaza on Fifth lease agreement for leasing Suite 201 on the second floor of that building. And this will be setting a public hearing on August 28th for this, receiving proposals for this space.
Resolution of intent to dispose of an interest in real property and soliciting alternate proposals for the leasing of an approximate 6,383 square foot office space on the second floor of the Plaza on Fifth project, introduced for adoption by Councilmember Foster, seconded by.
Second.
Seconded by Goodrich. Discussion?
This 6,383 feet is the rest of the space on the second
Wow,
floor, so
that's
that will be,
awesome.
this will be leased, and so we have, to summarize, we'll have two leases, this and the Sative property that's gonna be, or the office that's next door, and the rest of them we've sold off, so, and we've already prepaid the debt on the sales already. One of the last refinances, we paid all the money we held in escrow that we got to pay off the debt early, so. So these will be leases, obviously it won't be sales, but, so it's good that we will no longer be, we won't be responsible for the CAM fees and the taxes on that after this is done, so.
Great. Roll call?
Foster.
Aye.
Gross.
Aye.
Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Resolution is approved, all ayes with Gill absent. Item 22 is I consider a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented or amended.
Yes, Mayor, I would like to move that we approve items A through EE inclusive.
Second.
Moved by Dodds, seconded by Gross. Discussion? Roll call.
Gross. Aye. Dodds.
Aye.
Goodrich.
Aye.
Foster.
Aye.
Consent calendar is approved. All ayes. 23 is the city engineer road construction report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Construction continues on both our major road projects this year. On First Avenue, they're doing underground utility work on the west side, moving towards the north end of the project, so that should be done shortly. The 6th Street portion of the paving is complete on the project. The majority of the west half of the First Avenue paving by 6th Street is complete. We anticipate they'll finish the piece of that south of the railroad tracks yet this week. And so then we're looking forward to the next couple weeks. They'll do the paving north of the tracks to Pipeline Road, which will then allow the First Avenue 6th Street intersection to reopen to traffic. And that'll happen by mid-August. And so we're excited about that. I'm sure that will help the traffic flow in the neighborhood as well. This project is working towards its November total completion date. The Coleridge Avenue project is moving along quite well. The southbound lanes have been paved from Forever Green Road down to almost University Parkway. The eastbound Forever Green Road turn lane has been paved. There's also northbound lanes paved south of Wheaton, south of the detour, down towards University as well. And so they're moving forward with that paving quickly. The culvert underpass is in, and so they're finishing up the storm sewer work there, and so that project is moving along very well. So again, that project will be done in November of this year as well.
Great. Any other
Questions?
projects you want to brief us on?
The DOT project at Coleridge Avenue and Commerce Drive, I-80 off-ramps is moving forward too, and we anticipate that'll be is complete before school starts. So that should be done in the next month. That'll help clear up things and traffic flow in that part of the world. The Clear Creek Trail, Phase 6 and 7 continues west towards Creekside Ballpark and then on out towards 380. So a lot of activity this year with construction, and things are moving along pretty well.
Any other questions for Dan? Thank you. Mayor's report. I think the only item that I can, well, two. I want to wish Kelly Hayworth, our city administrator, and other friends of ours, and certainly all the other riders on Ragbri, a safe trip across the state. Hope they're having fun and enjoying themselves. They usually do. So, what are you pointing to, Don?
On 25, you skipped.
Oh, did I skip you again?
No, you skipped 24.
Oh, city, oh, assistant, I skipped you, Alan. Sorry.
I just have a couple brief items. We won't have another city council meeting until August 14th, so enjoy your 3-week break. And the Fifth Street Social is August 11th from 4 to 10. So games, music, food, lots of fun things. It is the third year, like you said, Mayor, so always lots to go on. It's on Fifth Street, right about in front of 800 block. So lots of fun. Come out and enjoy it.
Yep. I apologize.
No problem.
Now the mayor's report. As I was saying, just best wishes for everyone on Ragbri for a safe and fun excursion across the state. And I wanted to, but especially draw attention to the public for a really fun event that is happening tomorrow, the 25th, and Thursday, the Battle of the Badges Blood Drive. There's a long history of blood drive with the Coralville Police Department, which started when Mike Barney, one of our sergeants, is he a sergeant? Yeah, when Sergeant Barney was involved in a terrible motorcycle crash, and he received many units of blood that saved his life. And ever since that, he's been very inspirational in several times a year leading the charge for a blood drive in City Hall here, and many of us on the staff and council contribute. But then a couple of years ago or so, they started, I guess in 2014, with one of those events during the year being the official Battle of the Badge, where the fire department is pitted against the police department, who can get the most donations. So if you ever want to give blood, this is a great event. And you can, when you donate your blood, they'll ask you, do you want your little token to go towards the fire department or the police department? And then when the event's over, the one with the most little tokens, it wins. And it's I think it's 3-1 police right now. So maybe it's time for the fire department to step it up. But I'm just because I'm a former firefighter, I guess I can say that. But so let me give those dates and times. Tomorrow, Wednesday. Right here, no, it's in the public library, I'm sorry, in the lower level of the public library tomorrow, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. And on Thursday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. 2 to 6 tomorrow, 10 in the morning till 2 p.m. on Thursday. If you're ever going to decide to give blood, this is a good time to do it. It goes to a great cause. It's a partnership with the DeGowan Blood Center at the University of Iowa hospitals. So I encourage everyone to turn out for that. Not to skip the city attorney, you're next.
I have nothing, Kevin.
Nothing. Okay. A committee and council members report. Laura, you were the last one in, so you're the first one to report.
I have nothing, thanks.
Okay. Jill?
Thanks, Mayor. I just wanted to say that the Johnson County Fair is going on right now. It's a really good time. I took the kids today, so if you have time to go out and check it out. And also, before we have our next meeting is National Night Out, which is August 7th, and the fire department, the police department, and the council, and I'm guessing sure the mayor too, will all go around and visit your block parties, so we would love to be invited to yours, so plan one.
Thanks for mentioning that. I missed that one. Mitch?
I don't have a lot. We just got back from vacation. We drove to the Redwood Forest, so we're not the only ones doing construction. I can say that.
Right.
And not everybody follows the "Be Nice" signs across the country either. But we had talked 2 meetings ago about getting a topic of housing on work session. So maybe the 14th, since that, if we're all going to be
I think we're mostly going to be back at that time.
Yeah.
We'll look at that. I think it's just going to be a very full work session, so we may have to just
or get it on.
allocate things in August a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Councilmember
think so.
Gill
It is
will
on
not
the
be
list.
present. He's fishing in Canada that night.
For that one too. Okay.
But yeah, it's on the list.
Oh, and then the other thing I had, and I just actually lost my thought. My goodness, you got me thinking about gill fishing. And so we'll just let that be.
We can come back to you if you
the
think
last
of it.
thought. Go ahead, Megan.
No, I don't have anything.
All right, I'm done. But
sure?
yeah. So anyway, well, I guess no, but I'll go back. So yeah, if we could just get that at some point,
Yeah,
in August,
definitely.
because I know it's been goofy with everyone being here and not being here, and Ragbri and all that. All right, thanks, Mayor.
You bet. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Gross, seconded by Goodrich. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.